Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I hope you are well this Monday morning. So happy Monday. As you know, these Monday and Tuesday live Q&A shows, we usually start off with just a short commentary, discussion, and then open it up to questions afterwards. Today, I want to just start off with a great question we had about how do I learn to swim? And my advice is, I am not a type of swimming coach that teaches people how to swim on a beginning level. I teach people who may be okay with swimming across the pool and playing Marco Polo and not drowning, and then taking that level of swimming ability and teaching the combat swimmer stroke. Um, I can do that. That's about as best I can do. But if you have never swum before and maybe you never even gotten into a pool or uh, just never learned how to do it, I'm not that guy. So my advice to this person who asked the question, I'm not good at swimming, never learned how. What's your recommendation? My recommendation is find a pool that has swimming lessons, and you'll see it for there's swimming lessons for beginners, swimming lessons for like master swimming programs to swim better. My advice is get in one of the beginner programs. There's beginning swimming programs for adults in most pools, YMCA type swimming pools. We have one here. It's a community center pool that they teach swimming to adults. Uh, would definitely recommend getting into that, learning how to do a freestyle, learning how to float, learning how to do freestyle, get comfortable in the water, maybe learn a breaststroke combination if you want. And then I can teach the combat swimmer stroke for you to improve upon, get better at swimming, get in better swimming shape so you can handle 500-yard swims, swimming with a pair of fins for miles, and all those needed swim activities that will be in future Spec Ops programs if you so choose to go in that direction. But if you just want to learn how to swim, my advice is take swimming lessons because you're going to save so much time and heartache and inefficient swimming by just learning how to do it properly and having someone right there critique you on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, how to fix that. Next thing you know, you're swimming laps and you got another option to go do some cardio activity that you didn't before. So, that is what I would do if you do not know how to swim is go take lessons. Um, with that, I'm opening up to questions. Something I am doing right now is writing an article on napping. Should you nap? Yes or no? It's all over the place. I've seen scientists discuss yes, no, and everywhere in between. And there's an actual in between, believe it or not. So um, the rule is the new rule, given this science, is it can be very beneficial for you if it's under 30 minutes, if it's early in the afternoon versus later in the afternoon. But if it's over 30 minutes or later in the afternoon, it can interfere with your night's sleep, which is what you really don't want to be interfered with. Now, maybe the night before your night's sleep was interfered with for whatever reason, and that nap is kind of a catch up time just to get a little less groggy, a little less fatigue. You need to be more alert for your job. Maybe you have a productive few hours in the afternoon. In that case, a 20 to 30-minute nap is very beneficial. And if you want to double it up, a really fun way to do that is what I call, or I didn't make this up, but I call it the Nappuccino, where You sip some coffee, and it can be as simple as unsweet iced tea. My morning drink, you could do that like right after lunch, drink some iced tea or some form of caffeine that you like, and then go lay down for 20 minutes. And by the time that 20 minutes is up, your caffeine's kicking in, and you might have fallen asleep for 10, 15 minutes. Boom, you're almost twice as alert. Got the caffeine kick as well as a little bit of power nap. Next thing you know, you're ready to roll. So don't forget the nappuccino. That's a good combination. But yeah, it's shown some benefits to performance, athletic performance. It's shown benefits to mental performance, work capacity, um, productivity. Also, long term benefits fighting uh, brain shrinkage, which happens when you age. And if you can do that, you have less risk of dementia and other neurological diseases as you age. So it has benefits on that side too. So there you go. All right, questions. Let's see. First one, Tristan says, ever deal with ITBS from running? Absolutely. Quite regularly. If so, how long do you find it usually takes to be able to get back on the road? Well, I've done a couple of things. I've taken off. I probably really only had it twice, but I've seen it often. Um, and what I've done personally is, yes, it got so bad that I couldn't run and I could only bike and stretch and foam roll and swim. I just couldn't run at all. It just hurt so bad. It hurt to walk downstairs. When it hurts to walk downstairs, probably a good indicator that you shouldn't go running and do non-impact stuff. However, if it's not that bad and you feel it starting to interfere with movement and starting to you feel something, but it's not excruciating and preventing you from like pushing in a clutch on the floor if you're changing gears in a car or truck. I had it that bad once, and that one took about a month of no running. That was horrible. Um, but if you can stay on top of it, and and this is something that is disputed by people all over, but it worked for me. Is I was able to still run with a small dose of or a small case of IT band where I could just foam roll a little bit, take a little bit of a couple of Motrin, um, foam roll for like 5 minutes, go for the run, steady pace running, no nothing crazy, no sprinting, um, and then afterwards, I found if I didn't foam roll afterwards, I got really tight. So foam roll immediately afterwards for a little while. And then throughout the day, don't sit for too long. Get up, walk around every half hour, stretch it out, do a deep lunge, stretch, put your foot, like if you're going upstairs, put your foot on that third step, deep into that, stretch it out a little bit. You can foam roll a little more. Um, but that helped me run through it to a point where it went away. So if it's at that point, I would say give it a shot. See if foam rolling before, foam rolling afterwards, stretching, a little bit of anti-inflammatory medication, mixed in with every meal. So maybe a couple Motrin with every meal that you take for a week. See what that does. If that doesn't do it, you may need to take some time off from running and get into some non-impact cardio for a little while. So Caden asks, timely question. What are your thoughts on Motrin, anti-inflammatory medications? I sometimes rely on them to fulfill a workout or evaluation. I only use it for pain. And be honest with you, I haven't used Motrin in probably almost 15 years just because I haven't been in pain enough to need it, um, which is good because I started adopting smarter training methods and I quit getting injured from doing stupid stuff like running too much, lifting too heavy, doing too many reps, running too fast, pulling hamstrings, spraining ankles. Just got became more careful with training. Still train hard as hell, but just smarter. So, but it is useful as in what I just mentioned above. If you have some swelling, uh, inflammation at all that is causing some pain, it can help with that pain and inflammation. I wouldn't take them too much though. Just follow the prescription on the back, the directions, and always with food. Don't take it without food. I was thrown in the pool by my coach when I was 4. That's how I learned to swim. That's old school method. But, we all have a survival instinct, and swimming is a survival skill. So you can definitely learn to swim that way. Get to the edge, realize you didn't die, um, and do it. But I don't recommend it, um, personally. Just there's better ways to do it. Um, have you heard a program called Deep End Fitness? I learned swimming through them as well as water confidence, more of a hit the ground running approach. Oh yeah, they're great. I love those swim workouts. We do a lot of that type of swim workouts, pool skill stuff on Wednesdays after our mobility day, from treading to underwater swimming to um, you name it, life saving, all those big drills. Should I count my rucking miles toward my running miles? I would, if so, directly or just a percentage due to the difference of impact accumulation. Great question. Um, put it this way: in some of my books, my most recent updates, I will put in running, rucking total miles per week. And so you can kind of see the progression goes from 18 to 20 to 22, 24, kind of progresses up almost like 10% each week. Um, but sometimes, especially in like programs where you need to ruck more, like there's a 12-mile ruck in your future if you're going through recon or MARSOC selection or SF selection or Rangers, or longer. I differentiate that often and will say if I'm running 20 miles a week, I'm going to ruck another 10. So, but you still mix those together in a way like I've done 30 miles this week, but it's 20 miles running, 10 miles rucking. And that total can be a progression. So let's say the next week will be, um, 22 miles and 12 miles rucking, right? But that's 34 miles of running and rucking, right? So as long as it makes sense and you're progressing logically, there's nothing wrong with either way of counting those miles, whether you count them individually or you add them up and count them as a total. As long as both are making sense as you're moving along each week, that is what's called a logical progression. You do logical progression and you're good to go. After about 2 months of deep end as a newbie swimmer, I could swim 25-meter underwater, brick carries, underwater crossovers, drown proofing, brick. That's awesome. That's the way it works. If you're swimming regularly, you can become a decent swimmer in a month or two. I've seen guys come here and be a really crappy CSS swimmer, right? Maybe not even know the CSS properly and be at maybe 12 minutes in a 500, and within 4 to 6 weeks down to 8:30. So one, they learn the technique better, and two, they um, learn how to get in better swimming shape. But yeah, if you're put it this way, if you're in the pool 5 days a week, you're going to be a better swimmer. So that's another thing. You got to get in the pool. Another question about rucking. Would you recommend occasionally substituting it for leg day or an easy run day? Um, we do all of our rucking on leg day, unless we do it a third time in the week and we make it a spec ops triathlon later that week where we do uh, like a 4 mile run, 4 mile ruck, and a 1 mile swim. Am I a fan of kettlebells? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of kettlebells. We use them for a lot of things: swings, squats, snatches, farmer carries, pull throughs. Yeah, I like them. Good stuff. Let's see. Um, what other questions you have here? Nothing. There we go. Any advice on your personal best way to keep yourself in shape through boot camp before pre-buds and throughout pre-buds if necessary? Great question. I am helping guys with that all the time. And for boot camp, it's all about squeezing in as much as you can in a day. So that means your day is going to look like maybe you get 20 or 30 minutes before your day starts. You wake up early, you start your burpees, your push ups, your sit ups, your flutter kicks. Let's say it's an upper body day, right? And you go by a bar somewhere in the process of the day. Maybe you're doing laundry and there's these big bars in the laundry room. Crank out as many pull ups as you can multiple times while you're in there. Or you go to the bathroom and there's these little, you can hang on the stalls and actually do pull ups too, or shower, maybe even the shower curtain um, holder. Some people have, depending on what boot camp they're in. So, yeah, there's multiple ways to do that. So think about it this way: on your upper body day, you're trying to squeeze in whatever you can, wherever you can, right? So I would say um, anywhere you go and you're by yourself, maybe you're heading to the bathroom down the hall, go through the door, crank out as many push-ups as you can for a minute, right? Do your thing, move on. And then at the end of the day, see how much you got. And you may find that you've done a couple hundred push-ups and sit-ups and other exercises that will be helpful for you. And you might even get to run that day. Who knows? Another one is the next day, do the do leg day. So you wake up early in the morning, get some squats in, do some lunges. If you want to throw in some cardio on that upper body day, you make it a burpee type of thing. That gets your heart rate up. Um, Wherever you can, get some squats in. Sit it. Instead of when you're in a classroom, instead of sitting down, they'll make you, if you look like you're falling asleep, and everybody's about to fall asleep in a classroom after you know a day, a week or two at boot camp. Go in the back and do some squats, do some lunges, lean up against the wall and a wall sit. See if you can do a wall sit for a minute while watching the class. And like you're sitting in a chair, but you're on the wall. And every minute on the minute, do 10 squats. Do that for as long as they let you. Just stay awake. You can just say, hey, I'm just trying to stay awake. See if that works. And then whenever they offer the opportunity to go run, and they do a couple times, take it. and run hard. 4 mile timed run, mile and a half, whatever you can fit into that 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes of running, do it. Um, but then at pre-buds, it's not necessarily to do a whole lot of addition to what you're doing. You're going to get some in shape. My advice is to work on any weaknesses such as 4 mile timed runs, swimming with fins, treading. All of those things are going to matter in a few weeks once you get into first phase. Practice drown proofing, all those little skills. But if you feel like you're just not getting in good shape, just add some extra cardio. It could be maybe a bike run combo where you get 20 minutes of bike, 20 minutes of running. You got 40 minutes of cardio, but half the impact, right? Because you don't want to burn yourself out before you get to first phase. You want to be well rested, well tested, but you also want to get back into some of the condition that you had before boot camp. But that's how I would do it. Maybe lift a little weights. You got about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks in there. That's enough time to get a little stronger, right? Get a little more durable for those boats and logs. So sand baby lunges, squats, do a few deadlifts, kettlebell RDLs or something just to work that core in a way that's going to be a little more durable for you, um, getting through buds. So that's how you do it. In fact, a lot of guys have been going and doing my fall transition program um, during prep. And what that is, the fall transition is like half the calisthenics, half is weights, and you got a moderate level of running, almost like a decreasing each week level of running. So you're still running hard, but you're not running too much. And now by the time you get to, 6 weeks into that, your running hasn't like skyrocketed, but it's still good enough to get you good scores on the tests without beating you up so much. And anytime you feel like you're running too much, just cut it in half and do a whatever time that you laid off of the run, put it on a bicycle. So we call them bricks in the triathlon world. So bike run combinations, really great cardio leg workout. Gary asks, was my freestyle to my CSS? It used to be that my CSS was faster than my freestyle because I just sucked at freestyle. Over the last 2 decades, I've gotten much better at actually swimming both, but my freestyle is faster. So I'm typically, if I'm doing a 500, probably in that 7:30 range for a 500 free. And I've pushed my CSS in that range, but I'm typically in the 8-minute zone now. Mainly because I do more freestyle than I do CSS also. I just like it. I feel like I get a better workout out of it. Plus, I'm not really trying to take any more CSS tests. I just want the most bang for my buck if I'm going to look at a black line for half an hour, 45 minutes. I want to feel like I did something. But I do swim with fins on leg days, and that's a combination of free, turtleback, and CSS. How long is the ideal time to spend in the pool? 5 days a week, in your opinion? Um, Anywhere from 30, 45 minutes. You don't need to spend hours in the pool swimming. In fact, I usually limit our guys to anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 a day. So they get anywhere between 10,000 and 15,000 yards a week. Mostly, though, I would say in the 10,000 yard range because that's 2,000 a day, 5 days a week. Um, 2 of those days are with fins, so you get about 4,000 yards with fins. If you needed more swimming conditioning, I usually put in a little more to that group, and they may do 2,500 a day, maybe 3,000, depending on what group it is. If they need to get better at swimming with fins, one of those 2,000-yard days would be a 3,000-yard day with fins. Because eventually you're going to be doing weekly 4,000-yard swims at buds with fins. So you need to get used to swimming 4,000 yards a week with fins as a base, right? If you go 5,000, that's great. Two 2,500-yard swims, that's fine. But in the end, with fins, you're going to want 4 to 5,000 yards of swimming with fins. The rest can be freestyle, CSS, uh, treading, underwater mixes, you name it. It's all about pool skills, drown proofing, all that. Yes, that's another one. Yeah, you do something stupid, it'll drop you for push-ups. That's usually a good way to do more push-ups. But you don't want to do it too much because you are there to learn how to be a sailor. Take it seriously. I've heard the chest carry lunges with the logs get a lot of people. Yes. Is there any other movements in particular you find unprepared for? Well, you don't have to be unprepared for that one. All you have to do is grab a sandbag like this and start doing lunges. We actually do that, usually build up between 400 and 600 yards worth of lunges, um, in a workout. So that's one way to prepare for it. I think if you're not the biggest ones where people aren't prepared for 'em, believe it or not, I got guys I'm talking to that are in every prep, for the last dozen years, and they are shocked at how many people have never done any swimming with fins before showing up to boot camp and at prep, and their first time putting on a pair of scuba fins is at prep. Um, for some people it's okay if they're really good swimmers, got big legs, but if you haven't learned how to swim with fins, gotten your ankles more mobile so your ankles and shins don't hurt when you are swimming with fins, and if you haven't done any of those things and worked on your just hip and hamstring thigh conditioning, you're probably going to get a lot of cramps when you start, and that's stuff that you can work through long before you even show up to boot camp. In fact, like I said, every leg day, at least twice a week, we are swimming with scuba fins. It is part of our leg day. So make it part of your leg day and you do it every week. But I would say those are the two biggest is lunging with weight and swimming with fins. Um, something you could do is put a backpack on or a weight vest and run on soft sand. That's a big shocker to people whenever they're carrying a load, whether it's a boat or a log or whatever, and they're running. That's a big shocker to people too. And if you can't find sand, then find a hill. If you can't find a hill, find a stair stepper and do a weight vest with a stair stepper. In fact, I wrote an article on this one for you, just in case you can't find all of the above. Those looking to join Spec Ops, check out these weighted stair step workouts. It's a really good one. Learned it from a firefighter, and his legs were unstoppable. Did you ever use anything except a dive mask for ocean swimming, pool swimming events at Buds? You will either wear nothing at all or a dive mask. There are no goggles at Buds. Good question though. And when I say nothing at all, you'll do drown proofing with nothing, life saving with nothing, underwater swim, 50-meter underwater swim with nothing. Pool comp, OC8 is they're going to rip that mask right off your face first thing. So you do that with nothing. So yeah, that's probably it. Everything else is with a mask. Every 2 mile ocean swims with a mask. Every scuba dives with a mask. Underwater knot tying is with a mask. Yep. All swim workouts are with a mask. Good question. How much would you say height affects swimming? 4'11", and my last 500 was 945. Been in the pool 5 times a week with finning, 2 of those. By the way, great. Good job. I will tell you this, if you're 4'11" and you're hitting a 945, that's really good. You're probably, I mean, I have one guy who's probably like 5'3", and he is breaking 9, probably like that 820, 815 range. So you could get better, um, but I wouldn't sweat it too much, to be honest with you. That's not bad, a score. I mean, if you can get it down to below 930, that would be better. But, 930 is not bad. Swimming with fins, if you can keep that swim with fins for, if you can do 1,000 in like 17 minutes and maintain that kind of pace for 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000, if you're going to buds, that's a good ocean swimming pace. And if you do the math on that, 17 takes you to 34, double that takes you to 68, 70 minutes. So long as you can be under 70 minutes for a 4,000, that's really good. And the reason why I say that is, yes, at first phase, you have 85 minutes to fail that test, right? Or I should say, if you don't get it in under 85 minutes, you fail the test. If you in second phase, if you don't get it in under 80 minutes, you fail the test. In third phase, if you don't get it under 75 minutes, you fail the test. So if you can just get your swimming to that point where you're already under 70, you're going to have a good 15, 20 minutes to chill out, while everybody else is still swimming. Then, um, while that last group who are last in the class get beat down for like 15 minutes for basically goon squatted for failing or losing the swim, you're sitting there snacking, hydrating, watching them get beat from your lockers and getting ready for the next evolution. So if you can do that, you can avoid extra buds, which one of the goals about going through SEAL training is avoiding extra buds. What are my thoughts on the miniseries 234? I love 234. There's a reason why I love 234 is because many of those instructors I knew as either bud students or guys I deployed with at my team, um, or they were at my team. And then they were also some of my first students that I ever sent to buds from the academy. So a lot of those officers um, were uh, some of my first guys, like Geary, Leg, Birch, um, Donovan. Yeah, those guys were studs. So been doing this a long time, and those guys are many of them are retired now. So I think they graduated the academy in 98, maybe 99, and then that show was on shortly after. So I was an instructor at the academy for a couple of years from, 97, 98, 99. All right. Any other questions? Cool. We've been doing this for a little while. Tomorrow I'm going to have some CSS videos up, and you guys send me some send me some CSS videos if you want some critiquing. No, I did not know Pat Stone. Um, didn't go through SQT with him or anything like that. So did not know him personally. Let me think who I knew was Burke, um, Mad Max, um, who's McNeil, McLean. I think McLean or McNeil. I can't remember his name now. I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, you know, knew some of those guys. So good times. Let's see. Do you guys have anything else for me? So I hope that learning how to swim made sense to you guys. It really does help to get the basics down, and then you can really move on once you've learned the basics. Um, like I said, I can teach a bad swimmer how to swim well. I'm not creating competitive swimmers. Usually, if a competitive swimmer comes in and is trying to learn the CSS, it literally takes me 5 minutes to explain just some of the you know intricacies of the CSS. And basically, when I have a swimmer who's competitive, I say, think about it this way: that top arm is a freestyle catch and turn to breathe. That bottom arm's a breaststroke scull, and then you kick and recover like you're doing the breaststroke. Now you can do a breaststroke kick or a scissor kick, whichever one you want. Usually, if you're a competitive swimmer, they tend to opt for the breaststroke kick because it is a very powerful kick. And then I said, hold that glide out before you start the next stroke. It's not like competitive breaststroke where you're kind of really cranking out a lot of repetitions. You actually want to glide each stroke. So I would say if I have a critique for a competitive swimmer, it's usually hold that glide just a little bit longer, be a little more efficient with your stroke. You're wasting some momentum that is not going to slow you down at all if you just hold that glide in a streamlined body position and you're solid. So those are typical competitive swimming comments I get. But if you're a non-swimming athlete trying to swim, you're all over the place. Head popping up, feet dropping, scissor kick wrong, pulling wrong. It's out of sequence of pull, breathe, kick, glide. Um, so it usually takes a little bit more time to teach a non-swimming athlete how to do the CSS. So when you're going through an exercise in selection and failing at it, where is your mind at? Are you thinking I may fail or whatever, but I'm going to keep moving, fail or not? Um that's a tough one. There are moments where you just got to dig deep and get something done. Um but there's sometimes there's events that you have to pass to move forward. So let's take an obstacle in the obstacle course. If you fail an obstacle in an obstacle course too many times, you're going to be stuck at that obstacle and not finish on time. There's a certain time that you have to finish. You don't finish on time, you fail the obstacle course, no matter what. Even though you passed, let's say there's 20 obstacles, and on that 20th one, you fail that last one and you just can't get over it, you're going to fail the obstacle course because you can't get over it. So you may have to take a fail for that event and then bust your butt the next few days because you're going to have to take it again, right? They won't let you move forward with failures. Going to have to take it again until you pass it. Um, and usually you get 3 tries. So it's like the 3 strikes you're out rule, so they're pretty generous with performance failures until you just fail 3 times and you're done. So, like even 4 mile timed runs, you won't be doing it same day, but eventually, if you fail too many, you're going to get boarded and dropped because you can't pass it. So, a lot of people talk about all these hard things at Buds like Hell Week and um, rucking or soft sand this and surf torture that, but working the underwater swim. No one fails the underwater swim. I think each class usually has 0 or 1 underwater swim failure, right? Um, Everybody gets through that one. But so many people fail 4-mile timed runs. So many people fail 2-mile ocean swims. So many people, well, I shouldn't say so many. A decent percentage fail the obstacle course, or at least one obstacle on that obstacle course. So there are more general reasons to learn how to run well, learn how to swim well, just to get past those weekly fitness tests, because they are every week. You don't just take a 4-mile timed run and you're done. You're going to do that every week. It's part of the training schedule. Um, and then after first phase, you get through with the boats and the logs and all that stuff. And now you're doing scuba diving, and third phase, you're doing shooting. But guess what happens every week? You're doing a 2-mile swim with fins and a 4-mile timed run, no matter what. So that is just one of those gifts that keeps on giving out there at Buds, and you got to be good at it. Most people are performance dropped for those. Yeah, some people fail pool comp, or they fail the underwater swim, or they fail something else, but most people fail that of those two events right there. All right, a few more questions and I got to go. Just signed up for scuba dive course. Do you think it's beneficial to scuba dive certify before I go to Buds? Absolutely. I was scuba diving for 10 years before I went to Buds, and um, you know, having a regulator in my mouth for the first time, at 12 years old, was a little weird. I couldn't imagine it at Buds with instructors there and learning it through a fire hose. But people do. It's not necessary, but for me, I think it was something that I did well in. Third, second phase for me was by far the most fun for me because I love scuba diving. Is there anything one can do to prepare for pool comp evolution during second phase? Once you're there at second phase, they do have some dry land tanks you can borrow and practice doing some of the stuff on land. Um, uh, but that's about it. You will practice it a few times while you're there, but usually that is enough for most of the people to get through it. Really, the key is like just really memorize the procedures. Write them down, stick it in your brain for memory. Do not forget them. And just know that everything has an order for how you're supposed to store it and untangle it. And what are you trying to do? Open the air source. When you're all done, you get to take it up, and don't forget to put your hand over your head, going up to the surface. Everything has a procedure to it. So just practice those procedures, and I promise you'll get it done. Also, I have a SEAL contract. What should I focus on before I ship out to basic? All your weaknesses. If you have any weaknesses, focus on them. You don't want a weakness undeveloped. How many pull ups and push ups should I be doing before I head out? All of them. Um, you need to look at my assessment tool, man. Stuff is all right there, right? If you've never seen this before, you're behind the power curve. All right. So check out this article. It's an assessment tool that tells you every score for multiple events that you need to be at before you ship out. My recommendation, these aren't the Navy's recommendations, these are my recommendations from guys who have gone on and seen success throughout any Spec Ops program. And I have hundreds of them that have hit these scores on average. What are your thoughts of the keyhole stroke as opposed to the breaststroke pullout for time swims underwaters? Yeah, keyhole's fine. I mean, it makes sense. It's part of a streamlined process. You don't have to do a breaststroke pullout. Um, when you kick off the wall, I just like to. What's the time for 2 mile swim at Buds? Dude, you should know that. I've already said it. I said all three phases already. So if you came late, listen to it earlier. If you weren't a SEAL, which military unit do you think you would have been happy serving in? Um, my whole family was Army, so definitely could have done Army. Think I would have liked, Army Ranger SF journey. Um, however, you know, the whole new Air Force Special Warfare program is really impressive. So I tell people who are kind of on the fence that don't really know what service to join is take a look into that. That is a very impressive unit. PJs, CCTs, SRs, all those guys are really impressive. Any advice on 50-meter underwater swim without goggles? Okay, obviously you can't really see. So do you suck it up, burn your eyes for the 50-meter? My advice is don't look up like this when you're swimming and all that water's just coming right into your eyes. Look, keep your head down. Water's coming this way. You can squint like this. So all you really need to do is see that bottom line. Um, and practice 25s. You should be able to do 25 yards and with a kickoff in about 4 strokes. So try that. If you can be that efficient, and I got plenty of underwater swim videos on YouTube. You can check those out. Got some on Instagram, TikTok. Check those out as well. It's all about just gliding each stroke out. Not to the point where you just stop moving altogether, but being really efficient with your glides. Let's see, where are we? And the 4 mile timed run. Dude, are you just asking stupid questions? Just to troll me? It's in that link I just set. Plus, it's Google. Google the term. They got that stuff published for every phase, what time you need to be on. It's like asking me what's the difference between 50 yards and 50 meters. There's some things you need to figure out for yourself. And questions like that show me you have very little initiative, right? So I get it. You want to ask the guy some questions. I understand that. But, you know, seriously, you got to have some initiative and discover some of these things for yourself. It's out there. The internet is a wonderful place. There's also a whole lot of information out there that probably is a little confusing, but go to the source, sealswick.com. I bet you can find it there. If not, I just sent a link and created everything you need to know for you. Sorry, had to rant. Any advice on body fat? I'm sitting at 23%, 5'7", 160, running 30 miles a week. Run times, body weight exercises are good. However, I'm wondering if I'm missing out on not being leaner. Yeah. I would say, 5'7", 160 isn't, um, I mean, it's not heavy. So you're just missing out on some muscle mass. If you were 5'7", 160, 165 with more muscle, 10% less body fat, you'd be rocking. So, yes, I would say don't try to get skinny in less than 160. Try to put on some muscle mass and burn some fat and just change your whole body composition because 5'7", 160, 165 is a good body weight to be in, but you need to have that percentage down a little bit. So if you're going to lose body fat, and you will, make sure you're adding on muscle mass too, which isn't easy to do. It may take some time, but you can do it. And there's multiple ways to do it. You can lose all the fat first and then put on muscle, or you can do it at the same time, put on some muscle mass, And while you're doing that, you're probably going to burn fat, probably a little slower. You're probably not going to see a change in the scale, but you'll see a change in your belt loop, change in your shirt size. Those are indicators that you are putting on muscle mass and burning fat at the same time if you have a net loss of 0 on the scale. OG book is okay. Me getting it done before the summer is over, which, by the way, I consider the summer being over. The 20th of September is still a possibility. I got a few things I'm working on. I got to reshoot some pictures because I'm changing up some exercises, adding in some new ones. And that is lengthening um, the process a little bit. So, out of curiosity, what's the oldest person to graduate buds? The oldest one I know personally was 37. There might have been somebody older, but not much older. Upper 30s is about as high as you're going to get. Yeah. All right, folks. I do need to go. Got to finish this article up about the power nap. Don't forget the nappuccino. Get you kicking in that afternoon if you need it. I'll do one more question. Any idea? Difficult to get age waivers in the pipeline. News says there's a shortage among the branches. Not sure if there's a shortage that extends to SEALs. There's not much of a shortage in the SEAL community right now. Um, so getting an age waiver, I don't know. Um, you know, according to Big Navy, you can join the Navy all the way up to 40 years old. But if you go to the SEAL SWIC website, it says the maximum age is 29. So, is there gray area in that 29 to 40 range? Absolutely. Getting an age waiver, you just have to be a rock star to get an age waiver, truthfully. You can't be some below average performer, didn't have a job for the last 5 years. They're going to want to know your work history. They're going to want to know what other skills are you bringing to the table. Do you know some medic skills? Are you foreign language certified? Whatever, right? You got to be doing something in your previous decade if you want to compare yourselves to a younger person and be a obvious um, attraction to the SEAL community to let you in. So, when am I going to be on the Jocko podcast? Anytime anybody asks, I will be on podcasts. I'm pretty flexible with my podcast visits, but not holding my breath. He tends to have a whole bunch of different types of people on there. Um, who knows? All right, folks. I am going to have to go. I will see you guys later. Um, I'll be back tomorrow at 9:30, and we'll do some CSS critiques along with the Q&A and talk a little about this recent studies I've been reading about taking naps. We'll see what happens. So, did I ever work with the Brits? Yes, I did. Good guys. Love them. All right. I'll see you later. Have a good one.